Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, the feedback has come in after I have done the mission, I have done the testing. By the time this video is released, that first video hasn't even gone live. So the fact that that wasn't yet live means that I had a lot of time. I could have changed what was put into the original video where I said I would test hauling. And I tested hauling, and you're not going to see me testing hauling for a video. It's more boring than looking at the market, and I'm just being honest, it is that boring. But is it worth it in terms of reward? Well, no. You can't do it with the nearest class. You're going to need the hauling class of vessels, and the nearest hauling can only do one big mission at a time. And you know what? That is the fastest way to do them. I tried doing them all in a big bundle. It ends up becoming a big mess, and you forget where you're going, and you don't know where's the closest jump each time. So that is the big drop-off point on it. Sometimes it can work out faster, but most times it doesn't help you at all. You have to see what is the closest jump, and you make the closest jump to the closest jump to the closest jump. Eventually it ends up becoming this big mess because you end up going to a place, you end up doing two missions by chance at some points, but not at all points throughout the entire play. Okay, so let's see, what else was there to talk about in this entire mess of an incident? Well, beyond fighting to try and time manage it, it can be quite feasible. Even with the 250 million income, it's just 270 million after taxes from a 10% corp. If your corp is running lower taxes like a 5%, you most probably could do a lot better. So here's what it cost me in terms of running around. So when I made the jump from sector to sector, doing it as fast as I possibly could and rushing in close sectors, I needed to be back on the game every 5 minutes. So that was a bit of a killer when it came to it. Lag and getting caught in gates for no reason kept interfering with it. So I had to come back onto the game every few minutes and see what's going on. Logging in and out, the time for logging in wasn't this bad, but it was pretty bad. And that ended up being a big waste. So when you think about it, it's more boring than looking at a market. It's more boring than anything else you can do in the game. The best you can do is sit and watch your ship jump from gate to gate, and then there's delays which just make no sense. My ship waited outside a gate for a total of 15 minutes before it jumped to the next gate. I timed it just to see what in the world was going on, whether I was being attacked or anything, and then someone did attack me at another gate 4 jumps down. I don't know why people still attack at high sec gates. I thought it was impossible to attack at high sec gates, but nonetheless that's what they managed to do. And they got instantly killed. Obviously we know the gates are really too powerful to mess with, but that was what happened, and I moved on from there. Now my nearest had no weapons on it, so no matter what they did, whether they lock me up with 100 weapons or 200 weapons, I'm never going to fire back. It's not going to happen. You can't push my ship to do that without the weapons active. Okay, it looks like I'm not going to be able to log in right now. I'll log in another 10 minutes after this video is over. So I completed all of that, and I looked through the figures, and I said to myself, 1.5 million for an hour, it's not worth it. Even if I had to count it against the other route, as I said, doing combat in just high sec areas with the Naga, which is slower than my Drake by a considerable amount, I can do 3 an hour with the Naga. I can do 4 an hour with the Drake. But this is where my mistake was. The reward from the mission is 900 mil or 800 mil, depending on what the mission reward is. If I'm correct, it's 900 mil by default, but you get 1 or 2 special ones which are slightly lower at 850. So that is where the reward cuts off, and you know what, for the straight up ISK bounty, that isn't too bad, and it was quite good for doing the mission to just get that 800. It's only after I took out the Drake when I realized on my completion of an hour worth of grinding, with there being just 3 in that session when I used the Drake, that I realized I made way more ISK than I thought you could. So I looked at it and I made just over 6 million with 3 missions in less than an hour. And I looked at the amount of time that was wasted, and I had about 15 minutes left in there. So with 15 minutes, I could most likely take on another mission and complete it. If I had completed 4, it most likely would be another 2 million up. The figure is greater than 2 million. I'm just rounding down because that is the only way that I can keep it consistent. The bounties were mixed together. They weren't separate because I was doing the missions faster than the bounties tick in. So every 20 minutes bounties tick in, and I was already in the next one, killing a wave finished and going into the second wave when the bounties all tick in, and that takes all your bounties over the last 20 minutes and it all comes to you in a single lump sum bounty. And my bounties were quite large. So I looked at it and I was thinking to myself, if I can do this in 20 minutes, this is quite a good one. And looking at the amount that these bounties were, it's quite a big sum. So if I keep doing this, I'm going to make quite a lot of ISK. And then I thought about it. There is a second thing I need to test, and I'm currently in the process of doing it. I want to see how much of resources comes out of a full haul from doing an hour's worth of fighting. Now the full haul is going to be everything from all the loot. So I have to drop my Drake to a 10k, less than 10k's to be honest, on rotation. So it's going to sit right in that bad region where my capacitor is going to drain like no man's business. I'm going to have to obliterate everything that's interfering with my capacitor and move forward from there to kill everything off at perfect rates. Slowing me down doesn't hurt me. I have double webs, so it's worse for anything to come too close to me. The moment they're that close and they have that effective drain on me, I'm double webbing them and blowing their ship to smithereens. So there's no use in them coming too close. The other thing is my weapons are still powerful enough. I'm doing almost 5k on the Drake. 5k worth of damage is almost the same that I can get with an alpha hit on the Naga. However, the Naga's rate of fire is way faster than the Drake. That is the only thing that the Naga has on the Drake, a faster rate of fire, and if you are in optimal, it does way more damage to any enemy at a faster rate, so you can't heal it out as fast as you would with the Drake. So that is one of the catches. But the other thing with the Drake was, it was efficient at killing the enemies, it was efficient at picking up the loot, and 15 minutes to jump from one place to the next. Now, the big mistake I made was I just dumped the loot into my inventory and I scrapped it instantly without seeing the difference between how much I had and how much I got. It was also a mix of whatever came in from the Naga earlier, so a big mix of loot. Now, the reason why I was testing the two was I wanted to see whether it was more feasible to use the Naga or the Drake, because with the Drake comes this problem. If you lag out and unfortunately there's a disruptor ship, you don't keep fighting. The ship stops firing and tries to run. Obviously, it would be better if it kept firing until it got out of the lock and moved away. That would be the best way for it to complete. But with the current mechanics, there's nothing that you can do about it. This is all that you have, and it's pretty limited because of the fact that you can't fight back efficiently. So my Drake is going to be my tester. I've made 114 million off a sale of another structure for stations, and I'm going to put up another one either tomorrow or the day after when I have enough resources. I'm hoping that in a day I can harvest enough resources each day to put up another one for sale. If I make a sale once every week, that's 100 million added to my total. There's 4 weeks in a month at the very minimum, 5 weeks at the absolute maximum. That's 500 million coming out of the total figure that I need. And considering the figure that I gave an hour being 8 million an hour, and you're doing it for 4 hours, that's 24 million a day. 24 million is quite a good figure. If you count it up to what we need for the total, we need 500 million. 24 into 500 isn't that big of a deal. You can do it in a month. So you can get 500 million out of your resting directly, and you can get 500 million out of your production. Now, if you're doing your production right, you can get even more out of it total. Now, I'm not talking about that in particular, but you could get a little bit more out of it each time that you sell. If you sell at the right time instead of at the worst times, if you hold all your stocks for one period to sell when the market is empty and you know that things are heavy, like there's a war going on, you could make upwards of 80 million profit per sale on each item. And obviously you have to knock off taxes from that, so most probably you're losing about 30 million per hit, so 50 million per sale. And depending on the speed at which you can produce, you could even sell double what I said. So you could make a billion instantly in one day, of which more than 50% is profit. Well, technically more than 50% is profit, because everything that you've done in terms of farming, all of those resources that go in are basically free. It costs 30 million to produce. You're selling it for about 140, 150. That means you knock off 30, you knock off another 20 for, sorry about that, another 20 for taxes. And there you go, you've knocked off 50 from 120, that's 90 million profit of each sale. If you do 10, that's 90 million times 10, 900 million instantly off those sales. But it all depends on how fast the resources are gathered. As I said, that's a hypothetical figure. Even at that figure, it would mean that you would get enough resources once every 3 days. That's 12 hours of farming to get enough resources to build a shop. Now, obviously, there are some items which I am not counting into this entire equation, and that is the ship to breeze. If you sell your ship to breeze fast enough and heavy enough on the market, you might be able to pull out a little bit more, and that might counteract all that 10 million worth of cost or that 30 million worth of cost. And instantly you're going to just cover that each time. So all of your debris, all of those items are just going to equal you out to zero each time. And if you zero out each time you complete a mission, you know exactly where you're standing. You're going to be on top of the game. You're going to be one of the aces when it comes to the next level of play. Everybody's going to be scanning and running around on the outside, and you're going to be making billions inside HiSec. Now, is this going to be a viable solution for everybody? Well, I don't think so. It could be a viable solution for a lot of people, but not every single person will have it viable. Now, I hope that you all do enjoy these videos, and this is me looking for solutions. Unfortunately, the game is glitched out for me here. I was supposed to log in and take you through what I'm doing with the Drake. I have a total of 7 missions. 1 is being scrapped right now. I'm hoping to complete 4 in close succession to close it for the hour, and I'll be looking at how much I make in terms of resources, and then I will divide it by 7 once I have everything collected. Divide it by 7 and give myself a figure. Hopefully the figure will be closer to what I'm expecting. I'm hoping that every hour I make somewhere near a couple 100,000 worth of titanium and a good percentage towards building my next structure. If things pan out the way I think they will pan out, by the end of the month I'll be able to build 10 structures each time, and the structures will pay for themselves if I plan the right time to sell. And that's also another thing. And hopefully by next month I'll be selling complete stations once every week, and that's a couple billion a hit. If you sell 2 stations a month, that's, what is it, 3 billion a station, almost 6 billion in the month. That is a good hit for you to take in terms of your complete recovery, because once you sell it, 6 billion minus 25%, it's going to be quite a big hit from your entire total, but you're still making more than 2.2 billion. Count it up, that's 4 billion. 4 billion this month, 4 billion next month. You can buy your big expensive ships and you can go out there and wreck whatever comes your way. I could buy the Naga 3 instantly if I can do this here. I have a good ship. I could buy a Nightmare and run around with it in missions if I can earn enough to afford the Nightmare. And that's just the things. These are just the start of your little catapult avalanche into the greater world of Eve. And I hope that you all do enjoy, and I will catch you all in the next one.